Okay, today we're going to go over the external anatomy of the crawfish. So this is going to be external. I'll use my pencil. So the crayfish, external anatomy. All right, so, and what you'll need to do before you start is you're going to have to get a basic drawing down like mine. You can tell that I am not an artist. It is okay to not be an artist. The main thing is you need to get the shape down so that we can start identifying some of those external, which means outside, appendages and parts. So pause the video until you have a rough sketch drawn, and then start it up again. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at is we'll start with the big parts. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to break up this crayfish into two separate parts. We have the head and the thorax, which is the middle part. So this is the head plus the thorax. And this is called the cephalothorax. The back part of the crayfish is called the abdomen. And you can see the different segments here that I've outlined. The part down here, this is called the tail, but it's called the talson, which is the tail. All right. So now let's take a closer look up at the head area. They're going to have one eye on each side. So here's the eye for this side. They're going to have two sets of antennas. They're going to have a long, I'll make that a little this way, a long set of antenna. And these are going to be for touch and taste. And then they have a smaller set called antules. And these are also for taste and touch. And also equilibrium. And equilibrium is just what your ears are actually responsible for humans' equilibrium. They keep us upright, tell you which way's up and which way's down. All right, so our crayfish has a mouth. And it has two appendages that help it with getting food into the mouth and then chewing up the food. So the first are going to be called the maxillipeds, and these are kind of these sticky out appendages like this. These are responsible for moving the food to the mouth. So they move food. And then we have mandibles, which are crushing. So these are the mandibles. And these will crush the food. Kind of like our teeth do. And we'll get into the internal anatomy on the next video, but this is where digestion will start with the mouth, the mandibles, and the maxillipeds. All right, we've got our first set of modified walking legs. This is the pincher, or it's called the chiliped, which is used for defense as well as hunting. And that is one of the modified walking legs. We know that all crustaceans have 10 legs, or in other words, 5 pairs. So in this case, they have 4 walking leg pairs and 2 chilipeds. All right, so these are our walking legs here. And what these are attached to is these are attached to their gills. And the gills, when we open up the crawdad or the crayfish, are going to be these feathery, like parts of the crayfish. And what happens is as the walking legs move back and forth, it pushes water, which is how crayfish get their oxygen, up through the gills and helps them breathe. So we've got gills. These are internal. So we'd have to take off the shell to see these, but we're putting them on here because they cover everything else up. And these are attached to the walking legs. And it moves water over the gills. For oxygen and carbon dioxide to exchange. All right, let's see here. The outer covering of the crayfish in total is called the carapace, which is the outer shell. And let's see, overall, crayfish have an exoskeleton. I'll put that up here. That means that it's on the outside and it's made of chitin. And it's for protection. Chitin is it's a hard, solid, crispy kind of part. If you ever squish a bug and hear it go crunch, that's because you're crunching the chitin. It's for protection. It allows the shell to be hard. So if you ever catch a crayfish, you can tell that the shell is hard. All right. Then we have... Finally, the last part that we need to talk about is these little guys down here on the abdomen. These are called swimmerets. These guys right here. And they have 5 pair of them. And these are going to allow you to tell the sex of your crawfish. If it's female, they're going to all look feathery. If it's male, the first pair will be larger than the rest. All right, and that is our external anatomy of the crayfish.